Hey guys, my name is Bryce, and today I've got a deck profile for you of all sources. This was brought to my attention by a YouTube person over here. Any sort of deck profiles of 2019 or 2020, I'm like, well, I don't have one that exists right now, but here we are now. So without further ado, let's get to the deck. Starting with the higher level Ignites. Definitely don't take this very seriously at all. When it comes to Ignites, man, there's just so many better decks to play. However, if you want to play some fun casual stuff, I haven't priced this out, so if there's things that are expensive, it's because they've gone up in price and I've been lucky enough to hold on to the cards when I was trading at a reasonable level. Man, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is expensive. We've got Igknight Margrave, Cavalier, Igknight Templar, a nice and shiny level 4. I want to be playing 3 of them. The reason you're playing 2 of these, I'll get to later, but that comes up with the spells. He's kind of like your all-around guy, and the fact that he's got like 1,700 attack, probably one of the strongest beaters you can normal summon, sad to say. Next we've got Paladin, your defense you can put up. Also level 4, you'll be running 3 of these as well. Now, if you're new to Ignites, please note the fact you have scales 2 and 7, respectively. This is kind of crucial for everything they're capable of. There are even higher levels of level 6s, but I'm not choosing to run them for reasons I'll get into later. But yeah, here's your level 4s. You also have your level 3s, so triple Ignite Squire. Biggest defense you can kind of regularly normal summon. And then you've also got Igknight Crusader, who's also not tremendous, but is quite important for warrior material. Now, Rescue Rabbit, you can run 3 up in this deck, and it makes so much sense being able to special summon 2 level 4 or lower normal monsters with the same name from your deck, but destroy them during the end phase, not a problem. Getting out, basically you want to just have Xyz material, let alone something for linking with, or ignites that you can bring out via their effect as a pendulum scale to search out for other things is quite important. Now, before we go into the monster effects, we'll talk about the fact that these are all vanilla monsters so far, but none of them really garnets as long as you have the right scales. The main thing is that all of them, if you've been sort of zoomed in on this, you'll notice have the same shared effect, which is as follows. If you have an Ignite card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy both cards in your pendulum zones, and if you do, add 1 fire warrior type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Pretty bad in card economy. It's more than a fair deck at this point, safe to say. That's why the extra deck has to be a little bit bonkers when it comes to expense. But certainly try out your own text options. Feel free to write to me in the description, because this is a video not for kids. Even though it's got cute bunnies, it has knights surrounded by fire with sparks coming out, and they've got gun swords. Like this is just the end of a pistol on his shoulder. I'm not going to resort to swearing in this video or make it unfriendly for kids. But yeah, freaking don't watch this video if you're a kid. Get off of here. This is for grown-ups only playing this trading card game. So back to Rescue Rabbit. We've got 3 Rescue Rabbits for all your rescuing of normal monster for the main deck needs. So we get it out with that. Next, hey, Elemental Heroes in here. Yeah, of course. This is crucial for, kind of one of your main floodgate / control aspects. If this card is special summoned, add 1 change quick play spell card from your deck to your hand. This card is sent to the graveyard, add 1 hero monster from your deck to your hand, except Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Only use 1 Elemental Hero Shadow Mist effect once per turn, and only once that turn. The rest doesn't matter except the fact that when it's special summoned, add 1 change quick play spell. If you haven't guessed already, I'll get to it, but that's very important. And the fact that you can pendulum between 2 and 7, yeah, you want to be always special summoning this, going first to set up the things to come. So 3 Shadow Mist. And then a weird, funny thing you can search for, of all the fire warrior monsters you can blow up 2 of your scales for after you've hopefully pendulum summoned, and search for a fire warrior monster, is Rose here. Now, she's quite nice. Her effect being when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, inflict 300 damage to your opponent. Don't know how much it's going to come up in your duels. Main thing is, this lady is a tuner, and she's level 4. And you've got a lot of level 4s. Yeah, you can see where this is going. Past rows, we have Neospace Connector. Oh, hey, look! If it's normal summon, you can special summon Neospatian monster, or Elemental Hero Neos, don't do that, from your hand or deck in defense position. The rest also is not important, other than the fact that you've got Neospatian Aquadolphin in this. The fact that you're reprinted into commons means that I'm trying to get my hands on the commons right now. I've got these in the mail. I think they're even Italian, just to be especially cheap. And I've already got, where is it? Yeah, I've already got the common Aquadolphin. Because either these are quite nice to trade with other people. Next, oh yeah, main thing about this, normal summon this, get out Aquadolphin, and link them away into 2 warriors for link material for something I'll get to in the extra deck. Next, you've got 3 unexpected die. If you control no monsters, special summon when level 4 or lower normal monster from the deck. You've got so many options in here. Then, yeah, this seems very fundamental to include. So do that. Next, we've got 3 Summoner's Art. 3 might be a bit too much, but considering you've got 2 of these in here, who are the targets, add 1 level 5 or higher, normal monster from your deck to your hand. This just helps with scale fixing. If you, somehow open up a hand with, it looking like this, you gotta shuffle better. That's unfortunate. But aside from situations like that, this has helped me in so many games for just needing to get that 2 or 7 scale, whatever it may be. Next, playing 1 copy of Mask Change. We need all of our cards, but we are actually not trying to draw into any combo pieces because so much of this is about searching and just leaving the deck alone otherwise. No extra draw power. If you start with a bad hand, which will happen, tough luck, play a different deck, basically. But we've got 1 Mask Change to get out Darklaw, as you can imagine. We got 1 Reinforcement of the Army, also excellent for searching for scales, whatever you may need. You can search rows if you want and you have the right scales and everything, but that's not as much fun. You can do a lot more fun and silly things with a more board presence you can build up, and then just kind of add rows almost near the end. Now we've got the equip spells, because you are trying to make that lovely Noble Knights Link monster, who I will hopefully not have to name in fear of it also being banned should some really good warrior support come out, because that's all this deck is really riding on that right now, to be honest, aside from Darklaw being pretty good in itself, but much better in Elemental Hero decks, no surprise. But anyway, we've got Phoenix Blade, tremendously good as, renewable discard fodder, because if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish 2 warrior monsters from your graveyard, add this card to your hand. So there's been a lot of looping abuses with this. Surprised that's still in here, but hey, it's not totally out there yet. Next is Moonmirror Shield. This is situationally a pretty good equip spell to unfortunately go into. Yeah, if you haven't noticed already, these are going to be your garnets in the deck. You could possibly run 5 of these, but I've been having pretty good luck with having 4 right now. Anyway, Moonmirror Shield, basically to have the short answer of this is it always boosts your monster's attack when during the damage calculation when one of your monsters is battling. It gets it a little bit, by 100 points stronger than your opponent that's battling with. So that's pretty useful. Next we have Living Fossil, also one that's probably familiar to people who have been playing with said link to warrior monster. But it's you can target one level 4 lower monster in your graveyard. Remember, you got a lot of pendulums in here, so it's not going to happen too much. But target one level 4 lower monster in your graveyard, special summon it and equip it with this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, even if this card has left the field. When this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster. The equipped monster loses 1,000 attack and defense, and its effects are negated. You're not going to miss too many effects with these normal pendulum knights, but given that it's not one of the most horrendous things to draw into, but, you know, try not to. And here's a weird one. This one is pretty much just to address floodgates that will be getting in your way, because in a control-based format, this deck is not going to do great, and you're really going to hope that there's no Nibiru. But then again, people might just kind of wait for a little bit and just kind of see, okay, what is this deck doing? What year is it that someone's playing Ignites? It's 2020, playing Ignites, tentatively. Just don't go to any event that costs you quite a bit, because then I'll feel bad when things don't go very well. But play this at your own discretion. This one I'll have to read out the effects because it's not come up that much. You can only control one face-up Noble Arms Arthur, equip only to a warrior type monster. So Rescue Rabbit can't hold the sword, that's fine. Once per turn, you can target one set card your opponent controls. The equipped monster permanently loses 500 attack, and if it does, destroy that target. Let's see, if this face-up card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up warrior Noble Knight monster you control, equip this card to that target. Last part doesn't really matter. If some back row is set and you're scared of it, this takes care of it. If you're unfortunate enough to be going second, and you've got a warrior monster that you can, you know, carefully pendulum, or even more carefully, you know, normal summon and see how that goes. Yeah, I just didn't have a better normal equip spell to be playing. So there you go. And now here comes the super spice that is very hit or miss. So hopefully you don't brick with too many of them. It's Tyrant's Throes. Yeah, if you've seen this card before, congrats to you. You're also probably a fan of strange, unconventional control decks. You're playing 3 of these, because what you have to do is activate by tributing 2 normal monsters except tokens. Neither player can normal or special summon effect monsters. So, I'm somebody who doesn't personally like Mystic Mine. It stops, you know, people from playing the game conventionally, and in most cases, in the cases that I've lost to it, I just get killed by being burned to death slowly, or milled even, which is also a drag, after proudly comboing through a lot of things, making, you know, a moderate board, and then subsequently realizing, oh, if I've only got 15 cards left in my deck and I don't have an out to this, because that's my fault, I'll just slowly have my cards trickle away draw by draw. This makes it very one-sided and very unfair if your opponent also doesn't have an out to this, due to back row removal. How this will turn out, I don't know, but the fact that Red Reboot is only down to 1 makes it tempting to see how things resolve. Just pro tip with this, be very polite when you're activating it to your opponent. I've had no problems with it, but yeah, it's not wholesome the way that this is used in the game, so tread carefully with that. Now, we don't really have a side deck developed. I didn't think about this too much. Kind of just watch other YouTubers for honestly better side deck cards. However, there are things that you can add in or take out based on your, frankly, your budget for the extra deck. Those namely being Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. I'll get to that in a bit. Then you've got Amorphage Sloth. This one probably makes a bit more sense. Mainly what you want to do is just regularly pendulum summon this. The effect reads, neither player can special summon monsters from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters. Yeah, you're not going to be running other Amorphage monsters. You'll be running maybe 3 of these, if your budget allows. Or there's another way related to Master Pendulum that you can get this out, that hopefully you can get this out going first, stump your opponent, and then proceed to, you know, embarrassingly beat them down with, you know, 1,700 attack normal monsters, or if, you know, you're really throwing the muscle around, 2,400 normal monsters. Yeah, that's right. Even Time Thieves have their boss monster kind of go up against this sparky pink warrior lady. So there you go. Amorphage Sloth is one option to go down. 3 for including in your deck if you want to take certain things out. And then last, slightly more expensive, but probably familiar card, Nibiru. Yeah, there's a way you can possibly incorporate Nibiru into this deck if you want your opponent, when they're going after you, to kind of go, oh, that's a cute combo. Here, let me try and out combo you, but you managed to tribute all monsters. The follow-up for this is a little bit tricky, but considering you have a lot of things that, work into, having normal monsters and things like that, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is a little bit tricky to deal with afterwards. Anyway, set this aside. Time for the extra deck. Starting with, an expensive one, so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from now. Borrowload Savage Dragon. Very good synchro monster. Level 8. Hey, if you've got, one of your level 4s, you do as much pendulum summoning as you possibly can, and then you come to, adding Rose Warrior of Revenge to your hand for a kind of last normal summon or something like that. That's a nice move to do, if you're able to. So you have Borrowload Savage Dragon. The effect is, if it's synchro summoned, equip 1 link monster from your graveyard to this card, and if you do, place borrow counters on this card equal to the link monster's link rating. This card gains attack equal to half the attack of the monster equipped to it by its effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can remove 1 borrow counter from this card, negate the activation. You only use this effect once per turn. So generally going to be a fairly beefy dragon who's going to say no once per turn to your opponent. Not a huge negate, but again, this is a weird deck. Don't play this seriously, but by this point of the video, you've already been, pretty well educated on that idea. Next, you've got Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer. I got this card a very long time ago, and I thought it was quite cool when I was getting it with the Ignites, having no idea how this is going to be, abused in the metagame. Definitely don't want to trade it anytime soon. The artwork is cool, the lore with it is cool, and it's actually quite important for working with these 2 cards. So basically, you synchro summon this out similar way, through Rose. It's most likely to happen. Once per turn, target 1 pendulum monster on the field or 1 card in the pendulum zone, most likely in yours. Destroy it, and if you do, shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. Shuffling into the deck is nice removal, so I quite like that as a backup to Borrowload Savage Dragon. Also pricey, so pick some nice utility level 8 synchros if this is not working out for you. The other thing is, once per turn, you can special summon 1 Draco Slayer monster from your deck in defense position, but it cannot be used as synchro material for a summon. That does not matter so much. I'll get to that a little bit later, but it's also a dragon, so that is relevant. Now to go into links, we've got Link Spider, kind of a classic to get some link material out, and the fact that once per turn you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower normal monster from your hand to the zone this card points to, comes up a lot if you needed to, so it's good to have. Next you got Nightmare Phoenix. Again, we don't like floodgates, even though we're playing some of the dumbest floodgates ever, so there's that. We've got Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Remember how this card was a dragon and this card was a dragon? Yeah, you're going to go into synchro summoning, bringing out another dragon. These 2 dragons form together for this ball dragon. Once per turn, or once per opponent's turn, if this card is in the extra monster zone, quick effect, tribute 1 monster from your hand or field, return 1 face-up card on the field to the hand. So it's got a bounce. If you tribute it, special summon 1 dragon monster from your hand or deck, but make its attack and defense 0. That kind of sucks to bring this out with. You can only use this effect once per turn. So what you want to do is go first, synchro summon, bring up Master Pendulum, link this on your opponent's turn, tribute to bounce a card back to hand. Hopefully they're 1 normal summon or something like that. Bring out a Morphage Sloth in defense, because it's going to be a 0/0 idiot. But the fact it'll lock out players from special summoning monsters from the extra deck except Amorphage monsters means that over a turn or two when your opponent is freaking out of like, what is happening to me with this janky deck, you'll be able to pendulum out more and more of your normal monsters from your hand without any issue, and hopefully you can start to just steamroll your opponent in a unusual way. Next, we've got Isolde. I'll read out the effects just because they are wonderful. This card is link summoned. Add one warrior monster from your deck to your hand, but for the rest of this turn, you cannot normal summon, you cannot set, and you cannot special summon monsters with that name, nor activate their monster effects. Why would this come up in this deck especially? Oh, I don't know. Because they have scales, and you're not normal summoning or special summoning or setting those cards if you're just playing it as a scale. So this actually helps you with getting your scales if you're able to have one of your great starters of Neospace Connector, or if you're Rescue Rapiding without doing other stuff. Ideally, you want to be able to pendulum this out, but even so, if you're really stuck, one of those starters plus Isolde is great for getting scales. In addition to that, and the main attraction to this, but don't forget that special tech thing, you can send any number of equipped spells with different names from your deck to the graveyard, hopefully 4. Special summon one warrior monster from your deck, whose levels equal to the levels of cards sent to the graveyard. Only use that effect once per turn. Yeah, you want to ditch 4 to special summon out either Rose if you're really desperate, but especially Elemental Hero Shadow Mist to get to Darklaw. So we got Isolde, we got Nightmare Unicorn. Good removal. So 2 monsters with different names, no problem. Don't need to be effect monsters. Nice. If it's link summon, discard 1 card, target 1 card on the field, return it to the deck, and if this card is co-linked, when this card is activated, you can draw 1 card. The fact it's pointing down is very crucial, because remember, we're pendulum summoning a lot. If you're locking yourself out of the extra monster zone, you're very limited, so use this carefully. But hey, sometimes you can have things pointing up. Don't expect it too much. This is to get you out of a pinch and actually have a fairly strong monster on board, considering how tiny the rest of even your extra deck is, really, not breaking over 3,000. Next, we got Draco Masters of the Tenyi. Tenyi have been interesting support. I've been considering experimenting with this. I kind of like playing pure right now, but if something comes up that is inspiring, I'll make sure to post that as well. But that said, this one is nice where it cannot... Oh, this one needs to include 2 monsters, including a Link monster. And Link Spider comes up a decent amount with that. This card cannot be destroyed by battle with an effect monster, which is almost all the time. Like, if you come up against a mirror match with something like Igknight, your friend is pulling a prank on you. Sorry to say, there's no chance that that's really going to be a realistic thing to expect. If you control no other effect monsters, you can destroy effect monsters your opponent controls up to the number of non-effect monsters you control and in your graveyard. Unfortunately, graveyard's not going to be something to really count on. However, when it comes to pendulum spamming a bunch of Ignites, even if you got like 1 or 2, non-targeting destruction along with a Link 3, and the fact you're going to have a pendulum deck mostly going is quite nice to do. So see if you can build up to this. Now, in addition to that, you're going to have Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax. This guy's really rad because unlike the Boral dragons, Boral Sword, Boral Load, etc., doesn't care about if you've got effect monsters or not. You wouldn't really think about that being too much of an issue, except with Ignites, unfortunately. When this Link Summon card is on the field, your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Also, their monsters cannot target monsters for attacks except this one. So if you got anything else lying around on your field, it's going to be safe. Don't look at a Morphage Sloth. This will prevent you from having it. But if you got some, weak 0 defense pendulum monster lying around, this will keep it safe. But more importantly, once per battle, during damage calculation, when this card battles a special summon monster, Quick effect, you can make this card gain attack equal to that opponent monster's attack during damage calculation only. This link summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card. Shuffle one card on the field into the deck. So even on its way out, it is still removing stuff for you. Really like this card. Also not budget friendly. Sorry about that. One that is more budget friendly if you get the common version is Masked Hero Darkclaw. Going first, this is strong against so many decks. It's got the restriction, must be special summoned with mask change and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Any card sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. So just that's going to be rough on Salamangreats and whatever's left of Orcust and a bunch of other stuff. The fact that saying any card, so even spells or traps or something like that, that's quite nice too. Once per turn, if your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase or the damage step, banish one random card from their hand. So even further kind of tightening your grip on your opponent with this strange monstrosity of a deck build. Here is your funny backup for getting out Master Pendulum, the Draco Slayer. There's a reason why you don't really see this played in too many decks, but I can justify it. Also because filling up the extra deck was a bit weird given how few win conditions you can actually possibly run with this. But given that, it just needs one Draco Slayer Pendulum monster and one Pendulum monster. So you're going to want to have more than one of these. You're going to just play two, I think is probably fine. Playing three might be kind of weird with establishing your scales, and you'd have to take out a few things, but it's definitely on the cheaper side last time I checked. Must be special summoned from the extra deck by tributing the above cards. Do not use polymerization. So you can relax a bit. That makes things easier. It's a dragon, and that's important for back to our link to Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. Basically the rest of it is just that. Pendulum cards in your monster zones and pendulum zones cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. Don't know how often that's going to come up, but the fact you can special summon one Draco Slayer Pendulum monster from your hand or graveyard, but cannot be used as fusion material, that's a way if you're kind of running through the grind game and things like that, and this hasn't come up, or you just can't afford the synchro, which, hey, it happens, that's understandable. This is a bit of a compromise in order to get to your Heavenly Spheres, to eventually get to that glorious Amorphage Sloth, if you're not running 3 instead. This is a bit of a weird haphazard video, I realize, of giving, solid extra deck cards, and some ones like this, so apologies for the inconsistency with that. Next we've got number 41, Baguska. This is pretty straightforward. If you're really stuck with your opening hand, but hey, you're not getting Ash Blossoms from having Rescue Rabbit bring out 2 level 4 Igknight Warrior monsters, throw down Baguska in defense position and wait until it's safe to switch it back. Hopefully within 2 turns you can draw into stuff that's a little bit more helpful. But what this does specifically is once per turn during your standby phase, you must detach one material from this card. It's not optional, or destroy it. This attack position card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this attack position card with card effects. When this card is in defense position, and this is where the magic happens, change all face-up monsters on the field to defense position. Also negate the activated effects of monsters that were in defense position when this effect is activated. So if you're not familiar, have 2 level 4s out, see summon this in defense, have your opponent go second, they normal summon or they special summon some monster with any levels out of their hand, they get shifted and their effects are turned off automatically for 2 turns, and this thing blows itself up. Good news is, always on your turn, you can just switch the battle position and have things going. Hopefully your opponent just doesn't have enemy controller, otherwise you're really in trouble. Moving on, Abyss Dweller. This also might be familiar when this card has materials attached to it that was originally water, which you don't have. A water monster you control gain 500 attack, Once per turn, quick effect, detach one material from, or you can detach one material from this card. Your opponent cannot activate any card effects in their graveyard this turn. Please, make sure you go into Isolde if you have 2 level 4 warrior monsters, instead of going to this. This is a secondary effort to, you know, hamper your opponent's graveyard reaching abilities, if Darklaw hasn't panned out somehow or they had a way to counteract it, but you can sort of recover and at least make Abyss Dweller for a bit. But yeah, this is certainly a plan B, or even plan C, depending on what you choose to play. Next we got Tornado Dragon. Hey, why do we have Nightmare Phoenix in here and Tornado Dragon? One, because it's a level 4, but it actually is able to take out 2 back row if you need to. Yeah, diminishing returns for playing an Xyz over a Link 2, I understand that, but the effect is once per turn, quick effect, you can detach one material from this card, target one spell or trap on the field, and destroy it. Doesn't matter if it's face up or face down, and the fact that you can, you know, pop one on your turn if you're going second, and then pop a follow-up one, or just be kind of ready as soon as your opponent tries to do stuff is pretty reasonable, considering your deck can't really afford the discard cost for a lot of things such as Twin Twisters. So there's your other option. And you can have Gallant Granite search out Nibiru. It's so ridiculously accessible in this deck. You don't really want to hopefully go into this to be searching for Nibiru, unless you're super guaranteed after, you know, going into game 2 that your opponent's always going to want to combo and you don't have a way to not have them start, or sorry, not have they're forcing you to start for some reason, or you lose and you choose to. But yeah, it's a nice, and last time I checked, pretty decently priced card for what it does, as long as you can get these 2 together. And then you just need to have 1 Nibiru, because you can pretty reliably get this out. Anyway, that sums it up for my Igknight deck, guys. I know it's been a longer video than you were probably expecting, and some parts were more in-depth than others, but hopefully this is fairly coherent in it, considering the fact that this is a video not for kids. This guy's, you know, got fire in the background and lightning, and is carrying double machetes, which probably have some sort of a firearm aspect to it. Like, that's kind of got a pump action shotgun. Means that you can leave in the comments down below how disappointing this deck is for you, or you know, some words of encouragement. If you know, you're probably not going to see a video like this again of this caliber of a deck, hopefully. But if you enjoyed yourself, let me know. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.